We go downstairs and it's really dark down there, and we're just going through this entire place and opening doors. There's like weird furniture in there, and we were just all skittish about this whole area. And then there's an attic on the very top. Like nobody wanted to go check to see where the stairs led up to. And again, we open the door, it's empty, but then there's another door behind that, and it leads to the attic, and there's a lot of junk in there. We're like, oh, is somebody hiding in there, right? All right, and welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, Araujo, and we have a very interesting topic today that I want to discuss with you. It's called Writing It Down Makes You More Committed. And I'll tell you how you're going to be able to achieve everything you want to end 2020 and begin 2021 on fire. But before we begin, I wanted to give you a little recap of what went down in my neck of the woods, right? A recap of what we did as a family. Every year, right around my birthday, we always plan some type of vacation. You know, we've been going for a long time. It was San Francisco. We would just go to San Francisco every year for my birthday, and then we started going to Orange County on other occasions, and we decided to take a little bit of a different approach this year. We weren't able to go during my birthday because I was still training for the Ironman, and we had to push back our little mini vacation. When I say vacation, it's usually 4 or 5 days. Nothing big, nothing out of the norm. For us, right? 2 weeks is out of the norm. We've never done that. At some point, I think we'll take the plunge and do a 2-week vacation. But we usually like to be right around 4 or 5 days, and that's about the time we've had enough of the vacation life. We want to get back to our reality, right? We love what we do on a daily, and we want to get back to our reality as soon as possible. So this year, we chose going to Orlando, Florida. We decided to go to Universal Studios. What's funny about this whole thing, you would think if you're talking Orlando, you're thinking Disneyland, right? But my kids, for some reason, they don't have this big great experience with Disneyland, right? For some reason, they're just not those type of kids that love that type of amusement park. They love Universal Studios, and we've done the California one a few times, and we went out to Orlando to experience much the same thing. Now, one of the things that we discovered, and I think is one of the greatest investments we've made, there's this thing called the VIP experience. The VIP experience. And what essentially happens is they actually put you with a park guide, right? You have your own VIP guide, and they take you to all the rides. You cut in front of everyone. And it's really neat, right? And it's a double-edged sword for a couple reasons. One, you have all the benefits of going to any ride, no matter how on demand or in demand they are. You can cut right through the front of the lines, and this is better than the Express Pass. Like, this is one step above that. So you're able to even cut those guys, right? And which means that you're getting on more rides faster. Now, that's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing because you have no time to decompress. So after you're going through these roller coasters, you end up going to the next one where you're going up and down. And for me, it affected me. It's like my equilibrium was off, and it exhausted our kids fast. So we got on a bunch of rides, even the new features that just came out. We were able to get right to the front of the line, and it was a great experience. But at the same time, it's very exhausting. But for us, I think we would just change a few things. We would tell our guide, hey, we can take 20 minutes. We don't have to get immediately to the next ride so it allows us to decompress. But before we got to the Universal Studios, I want to tell you what ended up happening when we arrived in Florida. Now, it was dark, all right? We got there around 7 o'clock. No, actually, it was about 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. To Florida. We lost a couple hours traveling from Phoenix all the way to Florida. So by the time we got there, it was about 9 o'clock. And we rented out this beach house. We rented this beach house in Daytona. Now, I've never been to Daytona. And for some reason, I thought it was a different place than what I actually experienced. You know, we've been to Miami a few times, and it's incredible. It's very beautiful, as a matter of fact. The beaches, Miami, there's a lot to do. There's restaurants everywhere. I mean, there's hotels everywhere. It's really meant for tourists. For some reason, I'm thinking, okay, if we're going to Orlando, why not stay by the beach as well? Daytona is only in about an hour and 15 minutes away from Orlando. So I figured, hey, let's stay in Daytona. And for some reason, again, I thought this was the go-to place to go. I mean, I've heard of people hanging out there in spring break. I heard of, even the Daytona 500. I just heard the word Daytona, and I figured this was a destination. Well, as soon as we arrived, I realized that it's not really a destination, right? For people that are trying to spend time with family. I think it's more of a destination spot if you're a college kid, or you're looking for a sleepy town, right? Where you just want to hang out in your house, but nothing really for tourists, at least in my opinion. So we arrived there, and it was all the streets were completely dead. All the restaurants, it's only 9 o'clock, were completely shut down. I was like, what are we getting into? What is this, right? So I immediately started regretting my decision to stay in Daytona. We pull up to the house, okay, beach house. They described it as vintage beach house right in front of the ocean. We pull up, and I swear this was some type of like haunted house from the outside. It was completely dark, right? There's no one on the streets. It was a 2-story, like a vintage 2-story bungalow style home, right? Like not even bungalow, more like it's hard to describe. It's just, it had the high peaks on the ceilings, and it was just very strange from the outside. We were weary as soon as we pulled up. Getting out of the car was another adventure all itself. So once we get out, we have to enter it through the second story as opposed to the first floor, right? And it was completely dark. We walk in, and this place was just strange. I felt like, Annabelle lived in the attic or something. Like it was a little bit frightening for all of us, right? And it had so many doors everywhere. So we were all grouped up. Just imagine this. There was 4 adults and four kids, right? We're all bunched up. No one's like trying to explore the home on their own. We're all bunched up, and we're opening every door to see where it leads. This was like a 2-story. So we went on the top story, and the kitchen's there, and there's just, again, doors everywhere. So we open doors. Okay, it's a closet, and then a bathroom, like strangely placed, and then a bedroom. And we go downstairs, and it's really dark down there, and we're just going through this entire place and opening doors. There's like weird furniture in there, and we were just all skittish about this whole area. And then there's an attic on the very top. Like nobody wanted to go check to see where their stairs led up to. And again, we open the door, it's empty, but then there's another door behind that, and it leads to the attic, and there's a lot of junk in there. We're like, oh, is somebody hiding in there, right? So we were very leery. We didn't end up going to bed till about 2 o'clock because nobody really wanted to turn down. We didn't know what to expect out of this home. And when we get up in the morning, we look around and we're like, this is not good. It's raining outside, and the experience we were having already in the beach house wasn't the best. Like, just imagine the furniture. Going to a thrift store and buying everything that's on display, and then putting it into this beach house. None of the furniture matched. It was old. They called it vintage. Okay, that's maybe a description error on their part, but it was old and worn out. We had like reservations on even sitting on the couches, right? Carla stood up this whole time. She refused to sit down. And it's a good thing about Carla. She always takes the sheets. She always takes our own sheets whenever we travel. So we were able to put that over the bed. But I started to imagine, like, how old is this bed? Like how many people have laid on this bed before us? I mean, it was just an overall bad experience. So here's the reality of what occurred next. We had a choice. We were going to stay here for an additional 3 nights. And, pretty much, we made our bed, and now we get to lie in it, right? We made our bed, now we get to lie. We made a decision to stay here. Now we must stay here. And that is a mindset that I've had for many years, right? If I spent money, we were going to deal with it one way or another. And I would even impose this on my daughters. Like, if they would order some food and they didn't eat it all, I would expect them to eat it all because I paid for it. So you made your bed, now you lie in it. And there's many occasions that I've done that throughout my entire life where if we make a decision, like if I buy a skateboard for Madeline and she only uses it twice, I have this chip on my shoulder because I spent all this money for her for this skateboard or a bicycle or a guitar or all these things we do for our kids, right? Now I expect them to use it all the time, which is completely just an insane mindset, because now you carry this chip. Now you feel like you have to now suffer the consequences because you made a decision. So I knew that I couldn't handle 3 more nights here. And I knew we also spent thousands of dollars, reserving this place, and they're not going to give us a refund. As a matter of fact, we requested one and they denied us. Now I could be upset and say, well, this was just a real crappy experience, or I can just say, I'm in Orlando and I'm going to make the best of it, right? I'm in Florida and I'm going to make the best of it. That night we decided we were going to leave, knowing the consequences were we're going to lose our money. But I wasn't going to force my family to stay in a place that that wasn't going to be a fun experience. I was willing to throw that money away per se, but it was more of an investment in my family, an investment in realizing that I don't have to suffer the consequences just because I made a decision. I can pivot. I can move. I can change the current reality. As opposed to complaining for 3 or 4 days of how horrible this house is, I could just say, forget this, I'm going somewhere else. So that's exactly what we did. As a group, as a collective group, we decided to go back to Orlando. We decided to go to Orlando because we were going to go there on Saturday for Universal Studios, and we decided let's just find a resort there. Well, it turns out we found what came out to be one of our best experiences at any resort. This thing was beautiful. It was on the countryside, and it had a beautiful water theme park. It was close to all the other parks, Universal Studios, and we discovered this other thing called Alligator Land, or Gatorland. And we just had so much fun based on the decision we made to change the trajectory of what we're currently experiencing. This whole thing of you made your bed, now lie in it has to be something as entrepreneurs we gotta get away from. And I had a hard time doing that. And I experienced holding on to a business, a bleeding business, because I made a decision to open it up when it wasn't working. When I was 25 years old, we opened up a UPS store. And as the moment we opened, we were bleeding. And I kept on to that store for 1.5 years because I made a decision to get into it when I should have walked away, when I should have sold it, and I would have saved myself hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line. But because I had this thought process, I just bought this for you, Madeline. Now you have to eat it. Now you have to use it. Now we have to stay at this, at this beach house when I know it's a mistake. Many of us have done that, and many of us continue to do that with our spouses. Well, we continue to do that with ourselves, with our kids, where just because we invested the money, we expect that to have its full use, when in fact, it doesn't. Like expecting my daughters not to break their phones, right? They're going to break their phones because I break my phones. But a part of me is like, well, you're not going to get a new one. Thinking just because I made the initial investment, it's supposed to last a lifetime, which is not the case. Phones are going to break. But yet we hold on to this. And I even would be in that situation where my daughter had a broken iPad for a few weeks because I refused to invest again. Because I had that same mindset. You made your bed, now you lie in it. Madeline, you broke your iPad, that's the way you're going to use it. Like a chip on her shoulder, like we can't pivot from this point. She's upset, I'm upset. She's cutting her fingers on this iPad, right? And I refuse to move forward. As business owners, we have to realize we got to move forward from decisions that happen. If something doesn't get used, if it's not serving you, you must just pivot and move forward. You don't have to lie in that bed just because the decision was made. And so we did. We ended up going to the Grove out in Orlando, and we had a great time. It was probably one of the best experiences we've ever had. But it could have been the latter. It could have been much different, right? It could have been much different if I decided to stay at that house just because we spent all this money. But I knew my family was more important. And I knew my experience and my time was more important. Now, as opposed to being upset about losing this money, it's an experience that we can talk about. We're all laughing the entire time, talking about that haunted house, right, with the used, secondhand store furniture, and we're laughing about it. We had a great time. As you start reflecting on your own experience, start thinking about where are you attaching yourself to certain decisions that are not allowing you to experience something completely different. It happens in all of us, and it comes in different formats. Again, I knew my UPS store was not serving me. In fact, it was costing me tens of thousands every month, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the time that I kept it. But because I wanted to make my money back, and because I committed to make this investment, I couldn't allow it to go, only making things worse. And I can only tell you, if I decided to stay at that house, it would only made this experience worse. None of us were happy. It was a miserable time, a scary time in this house. But we got to think about this, all right? And we have said, you're right. I'll get my daughter's iPad fixed. We stick to these things thinking that they're supposed to last a lifetime. And when really, mistakes are made. We make them all the time. As opposed to holding our spouses hostage, our businesses hostage, ourselves hostage, right? We get a computer that doesn't serve you anymore, right? You invested all this money on a computer and it's not working for you. And because you think I spent $1,000 on this computer, I can't buy another one. Yet the same piece of machinery here, technology, makes you the hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. We got to get out of this mindset thinking that money is scarce. We're in a position that we can create more money. And we don't have to put our own, right? Our own, for lack of better words, our own happiness on the back burner for the sake of saving a few dollars. When in fact, when you get the things that do work, that bring things to harmony, you operate faster. You start seeing opportunities greater. And that's the way we got to approach things. And we do this all the time. I'm not free from that. Like I said, my daughter, I had a broken iPad for a few weeks. I ended up buying her the brand new iPad. And I realized this brings her happiness. Not only that, it allows her to be more efficient with her schoolwork. Why was I refusing that? Oh, because I invested a one-time deal and now it's supposed to last a lifetime. So getting out of this this scarcity mindset is important for all of us. Like, where are you doing that right now to your family? And as parents, we do that all the time. Even as spouses, right? If you control the money, it seems like, it's one of those things where the entire family is hostage. Now, I don't control the money anymore, but I felt like I was, being held hostage for a long time when Carla started running the operation, right? But then I stepped away from that. And we both realized that if we need to spend money to make us happy, then we do it. One of the things that Carlos always talks about, it says, if you don't like it, change it. If you don't like it, change it. Which means you may lose money. But at the end of the day, you ultimately gain more happiness. And creating harmony at home, there's nothing better than that. When you're in a position of harmony at home, you can create big things in your business. So start thinking about where you're attaching yourself to being scarce. Just because it's a one-time investment, you can no longer change or pivot. So you don't have to accept the unpleasant results just because you made a decision. So with that being said, we had a fantastic time, and we got to think about this because it opened up new opportunities. We saw this hotel, and it was a fraction of the cost. It cost less than that beat up, beach house. It was awesome. It wasn't too much more of an investment. It was the greatest thing we did. So now we make it back. And by the way, we had a great time at Universal Studios out in Orlando. Great experience. But on our way back yesterday, we ran into a couple snags as well. Our flights were delayed. We were stuck on a plane for about an hour and a half before we were allowed to take off. And then we had to run across, we had a connecting flight, we had to run across the entire airport. And it seemed like it was at the complete opposite end. So we're all stressing out, right? Trying to fly from one end of the airport, running to the next. But we ended up catching our flight. And the beautiful thing about this is that they actually had enough room because we missed our original connecting flight. And we had 8 of us. And this plane was completely booked. So we were happy on one end, and we were a little tired. So I didn't get home yesterday till about, after we ended up picking up our dogs, about 7:30. We had some dinner right when we landed. and I was exhausted. I was in bed by 8:30. And one of the things that I realized is that how important it is to write things down. And again, this is the topic, and this is also a nice little transition. Last night, I knew that I needed to get right back into my game, right? I had a great time out with the family, but I understand what keeps me in power. And what keeps me in power is part of the Prime 3 process, making sure that I take care of myself first and foremost, right? Making sure that I listen to the right things for my mind, right? Something motivational or something inspiring, and also learning something new for my business. So I knew the Prime 3 was going to happen first thing in the morning. And when I got home, one of the texts that I sent was to the group of individuals that I work out with. I said, legs, period, legs. They knew that today we were going to work on legs. Now, one thing about Carla's routine, and she's very specific on how she gives you all the different exercises. Not only does she tell you what exercise to do, how many sets to do it, how many reps to those sets, but also how much time you're supposed to rest between each set. Like, this is a very dialed in plan of what needs to happen. And when you're dialed in, there's not much to think about. It's just doing it, right? When you write things down, you no longer have to contemplate. You no longer have to analyze. When you write it down and give yourself a game plan, you just do. So when I looked at the game plan, I realized it was going to be a hard day today. We have squats, we have lunges, we have deadlifts, and this other thing called Bulgarian squats or Bulgarian lunges, which are just insane, an insane workout. I almost felt resentful towards Carla for even putting that in the plan. But we got through this. So there was 4 of us this morning. We're drenched in sweat. And I started feeling really good because I got home so late. My old mindset was, well, I'm going to give my Monday a break. I'm going to break on Monday so I can, decompress, so I can rest. I had a pretty fun weekend with the family. It was very exhausting. We got delayed for hours at a time. I can rest on Monday. Or I'm very specific about what I want to do and what I want to accomplish the very next day. Listen, I have this energy right now, and if you would have seen me 12 hours ago, you would have been like, there's no way this dude can get up and go work out and be here energetically for Mindset Mastery. But I've conditioned myself to understand that there's a pattern and there's a routine for me to succeed. If I would have just walked in here without exercising this morning, I couldn't give you this much energy. And in the back of my mind, like a superstition, in the back of my mind, I would have been like, there's no way I can operate to my full potential. Now, when we start thinking about superstitions, right, there's a lot of them out there. If you break a mirror, you get so many years of bad luck. If you walk under a ladder, there's a chance that something bad's going to happen. If a black cat crosses your path, something's going to go down, right? So there's all these superstitions that are out there. And it does something. It changes behaviors if we truly buy into it, if we believe it. Now, when I was young, about 16 years old, there was one thing that a friend told me that stuck with me for my entire life. And it is a superstition. I remember I was like chewing gum and I threw it out the window, right? A 16-year-old kid, not really paying attention. I threw it out the window. He looks at me with these eyes. They started glaring at me like it was the worst thing that I did. And he looks at me and he says, you're going to have bad luck. Anytime you litter, you will have bad luck. And I'm like, really? Like, I bought into it because his energy and his eyes opened up so wide. I had to buy into the story. But it's the same story that I've carried on for years. I'm 42 today. And it's like, for all these years, I believe that if I litter, something bad is going to happen. And that's how powerful beliefs can be. And now I understand another thing. Some people call it a superstition. I call it a powerful way to live. My thing is, if I don't take care of myself first and foremost in the morning, my day will not be effective. So last night, if I would have given myself permission not to do the things that I would require today, I already have it in the back of my mind. Kind of like I had that little piece of wrapper, bubblegum wrapper in the back of my mind. If I throw this out there, something bad's going to happen. This superstition, and maybe I'm going to imply it on you. Just like my friend, implied it on me. A simple bubble gum wrapper, I never littered for the rest of my life, right? And I even scowl at people that do. So this is the type of superstition I want you to believe. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this, that if you don't work out in the morning and take care of yourself, your mindset, right? Study more about your business, you're going to have a bad day. That's pretty messed up, right? Now, I'm hoping that you believe that so you can force yourself to do the things that sometimes you don't feel like doing, because it will only benefit you on the long run. So last night, I wrote out this text, legs. And I went into the day with probably the most difficult workout you can actually put on yourself, where you're doing deadlifts, squats, and lunges on the same day. Some people spread those out. I did that on the same day. And the group that did it with me this morning, we did it on the same day. And it sucked. It hurt. It was exhausting. Having the damn mask on my face made it even worse. But I'm telling you right now, I feel powerful. I feel great. Because there's a superstition, a belief that I now have made a fact that if I don't do the right things for myself in the morning, there's no way I could have a powerful day. And some people are like, well, AZ, I didn't do those things that you said, and I had a great day. And I'm like, great. I wonder what would have happened if you did do those things. How much greater your day would have been. Listen, it's a personal responsibility we got to take. And it's the first thing that we teach as part of the 12-week target book. And it has nothing to do with real estate, essentially. It has to do with you accessing power. So you can make powerful decisions and not be scared that you may lose. Just like I was able to make that decision out in Daytona. Thousands of dollars on the line. I don't care. Because now I see that power allows me to make those decisions that don't serve me. But if I'm hesitant, if I come into the day weak, I'm going to hesitate. And you may get away with it until you have to deal with the real player in that same situation. You will get stomped and run over. You will get plowed over. And you will realize what a person in power and how much of an advantage they have over you. And that's the last thing I want to be in a position where someone has an advantage over me. One of the things I was describing is like, I've never been the smartest bulb, right? I mean, the brightest bulb, even saying that, right? I've never been the brightest bulb in any situation I've been in. But one thing for sure, I am the most committed. Because I bought into a simple belief system that if I take care of my body and my mind first thing in the morning, I will outwork, I will outdo, right? And my results will be greater than anyone else in my sphere. Period. And that's the approach we all have to take to. So if you're feeling a little off your game, if you're feeling like, another agent pulled a fast one on you, if you're feeling like your clients are controlling you, it may have to do with the deposits you failed to do for yourself first thing in the morning. Right? And your failure to stand up and to feel that power to help serve you. So this belief system, the superstition per se, I want you to believe this, that if you don't take care of yourself, you will never operate to your optimal level. If you don't take care of your mind and feed it the right things, you will never dominate the day. You may have some good days, but you will not dominate it like a player that does it each and every day. Period. Because I've seen it from my own mind. It served my own life. Every aspect of it. The connection with my daughters, my marriage, my body, my business, it's affected everything. And I'm going to continue to have this conversation with you because I know it will completely change the trajectory of your life if you're able to do that on a daily basis. Knowing that no one's going to have an advantage over you. Knowing that no one's going to pull a fast one on you because you're on your game. You feel powerful. And I wrote something, and I want to share this with you. And it talks about the fight. And this is very important as well about journaling. This is something that I journaled a while back. And again, is being able to write things down, right? When you write things down, it makes you more committed, just like that workout did. And I said, you fight because it matters. I understand fully now how much it mattered. Yet when things get tough between us, I acted like it didn't matter. It would have been so much easier to concede than to face the issues we both created. I sit back and wonder what would have happened if I would have given up. If I had not chosen to analyze and change my own behaviors, nothing would have been as they are today. I love taking my daughters to school every day. I love that they know that dad is always around. I love that I will be the only man they will ever call dad. I love that I can coach and mentor them. I love that they know I will be there in the morning to tuck them in bed with a prayer at night. I love that Carla can depend on me. I love that she is my best friend. I love that she knows she can trust me. Yes, it matters. Fight. This is the approach we have to take. When we're able to just go back to a routine that has been proven to work, it takes the fight. A big part of me just wanted to rest. I deserve the rest. It was a long day. Who travels for 8-9 hours and not get exhausted? The time change, a couple hours, which means we were actually up at 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning to catch our flight. Not only that, we had to drive an hour and a half back from Orlando to Daytona, then catch a flight from Daytona to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina back to Arizona. Hell yeah, it was a long day. But yes, it matters. I fight. Because now I believe this thought, this superstition, as a fact. I have to stay in my power to dominate my day. No one's going to take advantage of me. No one's going to pull a fast one on me. No one's going to dominate me. Because I'm on my game. And I'm up. And I'm forcing myself to grow. And that's what occurs. So start thinking about this. And there was a couple subjects we talked about. Letting go. If we make a mistake, pivot. Move. And then, writing things down and knowing that there's a way for you to be able to access full power. And there's a quote here that I wrote down a while back, and it says, "My conviction to keep going begins with my willingness to get going." So it starts with your will. It starts with your mindset and your approach. If you believe it as fact, your life will change. And it maybe starts with a superstition. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have 7 years of bad luck if you refuse to take care of yourself in the morning. Of course, I'm kidding. But I'm just telling you. Your days are going to be long. You're going to be strong. You're going to dominate the day if you're able to do these things each and every day. So guys, thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Master. I'm going to read some quotes here. Let's go. I'm getting a lot of parents coming in and says, "Oh, okay, you're right. I'm going to buy Caleb a new iPhone. I'm buying a new iPad for my kid." It's so wrong of us. You're so wrong. You're so mean. We do this. The guilt of it all. My poor daughter. Jeez. I can't believe I was doing that. She cut her little finger. She had tape all over her iPad. Like, she literally taped it just because, I invested some money and I thought she needed to now deal with the consequences, right? Or forcing our kids to eat the entire meal when they're full just because we bought that $20 steak or whatever that is, $40 steak. And it's like, hey, just let it be, right? Let it be. Miguel, I had the same exact experience in California with an Airbnb. And we also decided to make the best days out of the rest of the days. We ended up enjoying the beach much more. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that it made us realize is like we had a couple good experiences with Airbnbs, but the last 2 or 3 have been really bad. And the last 2 or 3 days at a resort have been really good. So now we just realize we're not Airbnb families. Like we don't want to go from our household into another household, a strange household, right? A foreign household. We just want to go and really benefit and really enjoy what it is to be on vacation. So now we're just going straight into a hotel or resort and not thinking twice about it. So it was a good lesson. And based on our last Airbnb experience, I probably should have remembered that before I made a decision here. That was at Venice Beach. And again, it was a beautiful house. The house was good, but the environment was horrible. Like people were setting up tents right outside our window. It was like, it was horrible. Like our kids couldn't go outside. It was during 4th of July. Bottles were breaking on the streets. There was a lot of noise, fireworks all night, and it was just another bad experience. So never again will I do that. Resort straight to it. Rudy, but no, seriously, our mistakes aren't the end all be all. We can own a bad decision and pivot, as you said. Learn from your mistakes. Don't be stubborn. Don't stop your growth because of your ego. Absolutely. And we do this a lot. And look at your own lives and see where are you holding on to something that's not serving you. It's time to just move, to change, right? It's economics and finance. This is often referred to as the sunk cost fallacy. Holding on to something for too long, often wasting more money. Chris, I was right there, man. I just couldn't let go. And I only made things worse. Because of that, because of what we have already invested in. Smart businesses know when to cut and run as opposed to continuing to invest in something that just isn't going to work. The truth right there. And man, I can remember so many instances where I was just stuck because a decision was made and I made that investment. It's like, no. You can pivot, you can move. You can buy another car, right? If a certain car is not working, it's like, I'm going to trade it in, get another one. Yes, it's going to cost me money, but now this other car serves me. And there's so many examples of that. Rudy, it's the truth. Ozzy, litter in the outside means litter in the inside. I like that. Another superstition that we can buy into. The man with the plan owns the day. So true. Because we had this game plan for the day, there was no thinking about it, Edgar. It was just do. You're going to all see the new rendition of the 12-week target book. This is something I've been putting to the test. I've taken meticulous notes to update it. And it's going to be the greatest tool for you not only to document your days, your tasks, but to also journal what's going on in your day-to-day lives. Again, I spoke about how journaling has affected my life tremendously, and I'm able to pull these quotes off my past journals. We don't know where we're going to be in 20 years, 25 years, and how awesome would it be to come back to who you were 20 years before and be in that same mindset of what was going on, or to be able to experience exactly what was going on 20 years later. It's just an amazing thing, and I think you're really going to enjoy the new 12-week target book. And I will have a big training for that, so keep an eye out for that. Sergio, it's impossible to feel low emotions when your body is in motion. Move. Like that is pure fire. If it's impossible to feel low emotions when your body is in motion. Like, yeah, it sucked during that entire workout. You were there with me, Sergio. We were just like sweating up a storm, and we were pushing ourselves from maximum weight. And man, I feel so good right now. And I couldn't come to you energetically the way I am if I didn't do those things for myself. Guys, you will have bad luck if you don't take care of yourself. I need you to believe that. This is for the long game. And the reason I'm putting so much emphasis on doing what's right for your body and your mind is because this is what's going to take you on to that next level many, many years ahead. What we're dealing with the new building and the different obstacles that we had to overcome, I couldn't have been there if I didn't take care of myself first and foremost. So if you're trying to get to that next level, take care of your mind and body. And it's part of a 12-week target book. Our top producers do it. You can too. Let's go to Dora Lee. I got back home from Vegas late last night, and I made up my mind that I didn't want to go to the gym. But I sucked it up, and it was a gym for my 6:15 a.m. class. It's so easy, right? After a nice, fun weekend to be like, oh, okay, I could take one more day. No, we have to get back into the game, especially on a Monday. We got work to do. And if we really think about it, we were able to enjoy all those fruits of being out on vacation because of our commitment to what needs to be done. So we can't slack on that. We can't hold back. We have to move forward strong here. Caroline, that great makes it a superstition, and we will make it sure we have it done. LOL, that great make it I think what you're trying to say is that it's a great superstition, and we'll make sure to get it done. Simple things, right, that we believe in. And a superstition is just a belief system. The prime 3 is a belief system. But when you do it on a daily, it can change your life significantly. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories that I had for you today, right? If you made a decision, let's make a move. We don't have to stay there. We don't have to wallow in that place of pity. We can move. Buy your kids the phones and the iPads. It's time to replace those. They've learned their lesson. They've learned their lesson. Time to move. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of Mindset Mastery. I enjoyed being here. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And I will talk to you soon. Bye now.